Hello and welcome back to the Rams Talk Podcast preview show. This week, Derby travel to the capital as we take on Millwall at the Den. Been a few years since we've taken on Millwall, so I'm going to need someone to talk it through with me. And I've got Micky from That Millwall Pod to talk all things Lions. How are you, Micky?
Yeah, not bad, fella, not bad. You?
Not too bad. We've managed to finally get this going. It's taken a little bit of to and froing. Obviously, schedules, international breaks, but we're back with Championship football. Back with Championship football, and we're going to talk Derby County against Millwall this weekend. First of all, Micky, it's been a few years since the Rams have taken on Millwall. The last one I looked at was a 2-1 defeat to yourselves. I think you beat us actually. It was a draw before that. The route with Wayne Rooney. That's correct. Yeah. Looking at the lineup, we have two players in the entire squad who went that day who are still with us. Everyone else completely different. So we're a completely different outset now. I'm not sure about yourselves, but just give Derby fans who are listening kind of an overview of where Millwall are currently since we last met a couple of years ago. How are you getting on as a club? How are you getting on as a team under Neil Harris? Just give us an overview of where you are, mate.
Two wins in 9. The players are better than what the results are, and we've got a couple of new signees what are just about to. I think just about to start making their mark in the Championship. Hopefully, it'll be against you on Saturday, but you can only hope. But no, we've got a big Serbian. I nearly swore then, and if you tune into our show, we do. But yeah, we got who's got a song which I can't repeat here. We've got the pretty much the greatest. I think the record hold striker as such. He's scored the most goals in the league, which is Macaulay Langstaff, which is with us, and he's just he's again looking at. I think he could end up producing some goals. He just needs that bit of more confidence and start going. But yeah, we've got Tango. Don't ask me to pronounce the name because my lads always take the mick. So I just call him Tango. Ex-Spurs player, so pretty much an ex-Prem player. We had on loan last season, and he's in our defence. Pretty much with maybe who else have we've got? We've got Femi from Reading. Our two loanees who we got in, the Liverpool lad and the Middlesbrough lad, are both injured. They're not there. So pretty much, other than that, pretty much the same players you saw last time you visited us, really. So
you're looking at
we don't anymore, but yeah.
I mean, you look at the whole setup of yourselves. Everyone knows what you get with Millwall, what you're expecting when you play you guys. It's it's going to be a tough game away at you guys this weekend. How's Neil Harris kind of taken that Rowett football and football team? Has he changed it much? Has he kept it the same? Are you kind of seeing from... Because Neil Harris was originally, you guys, was it about 6-7 years prior to him retaking it back over in February of this year? Has he changed much? Or is it kind of...
Probably politer to say no comment. No, he still the same Neil Harris, stubborn, set in his ways. It feels like... he plays his mates, more so, like until Bradshaw got injured, Bradshaw would play every game, and the geezer's like 32, can't run his knees, he needs to just, we need to put him into pastures, do you know what I mean? We need a lower league club to come in and take him and look after him, and he'll score loads of goals, but not for us. We're playing nice, attractive football. It's nice football. It's just we're not getting the results. Whether that be luck, whether that be refs, whether that be just we haven't hit that final bit. But yeah, I mean, well, 2 wins in 9 just sums it up, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you could say it, but I mean, you've got some decent wins when you have won. You've got 3-0 win against Sheffield Wednesday, 3-1 win against Preston, draws against QPR, West Brom. I mean, you've kind of had a mixed bag of results, but you are scoring goals. I mean, a lot of goals from open play, and set pieces. Four. I mean, 12 of your goals, four set pieces, 7 from open play, 1 penalty. I mean, you're scoring goals. I mean, that's normally mid-table. You kind of, what are you doing? Are you conceding? Are you scoring? At least one of those is not your issue.
Yeah, but it's weird because the players that are scoring the goals are players you wouldn't necessarily, they're not the strikers. So, you've got Duncan Watmore, who's, I think he's on 5 for this season. And at the start of the season, if you'd have said, he would have scored 5, you would have gone, no. But, he's scored. All we need is, we've got the potential to kick on and start scoring goals heavily with the players we've got. With the Serbian lad, if he hits the ground running and gets into the speed, and Langstaff does, potentially they've got 15, 20 goals in them, but each. So they are sort of foxes in, those little around the goal. So they could cause you problems, but it's our wingers where, SA is just for a young kid. And luckily, we've just signed him on for an extended contract. He is something else. I mean, watch him. Those are your listeners. What like watching up and coming players. Watch him. He is going to go far in the years to come. He's going to be Prem, and he is going to be something else. He plays in England under 21s, and he plays well there, and he's good, and he's in there every international he's there. But he is a cracking lad, and yeah, his head's screwed on. For 19 years old, he's slowly developing more and more, and he's got a bright future in front of him. Bright future where we could be possibly getting 10, 15, 20 million pound for him. So, yeah, a good future.
I mean, yeah, he was a player that I picked out when doing a little bit of research. Ramirez, I mean, for a 19-year-old to come through your academy and hit the ground running as he has, he is exciting. What about him that has really struck you as a fan that stands him out from the rest of your team, considering his young age and stuff? What attributes have you seen that you really, really like?
It's just a willingness to, I mean, this season he's pretty much played every game. Last season, it was a few games here, a few games there, etc. But on Young Player of the Year, 2 years on the trot, and there's just something about him. You can't sit there and go, "Oh, he's the greatest here," or he don't, because he still makes mistakes. But you see what there is with him and what's coming, and you just know that. And the way that this season the club sort of changed. Obviously, the end of last season, whichever way you want to look at it, the CEO, the CF, the COO, and the head of recruitment all basically got turfed out of the building by the owner, and everything got completely replaced. And there seems to be now an emphasis on playing the club's assets, and I think probably benefited SA more than we could ever imagine, because he's now playing every game in Championship football, which is, pretty much probably the best football in the country, really, for real football. And mate, you watch him, he is so fast, and for a 19, his head's switched on, and that's just going to get more and more and more. And he's going to be bulking out a bit more, and he's got a future ahead of him. And I don't think there's many players that you look and go, we're watching something coming here. Do you know what I mean? And I don't think he's probably going to be in the same levels as like Bellingham or people like that, but he's going to be an accomplished Premiership player. I mean, there's room at Liverpool, so we've actually. For 19-year-old Southeast London boy playing for Millwall to suddenly go Liverpool. I mean, I think the last Millwall player who ended up going to Liverpool was Jimmy. So it will be great if it happens, but I think we need to keep him for another season or so, and then just have him fully developed, and then thanks very much. And then invest, because that's what the board now are saying, and obviously the director of football and whatnot now saying that it's play the assets, sell the assets to a season, 2 seasons down the line when they're maximum value, and then reinvest and do the same process again. But what we needed players like SA, not so much Marco, but Massey. We've got Massey. I'll probably pronounce that wrong, but we've got some other youngsters what are coming into the team. You then show the youth what want to come and play here in the youth that there is a pathway. And if SA goes to, for instance, say he goes to Liverpool for £20 million, all of a sudden, young Bob, who's 14 years old, suddenly seen a pathway where, he can play for Millwall when, unless his parents are Millwall fans going, no, we go Arsenal, where, let's be honest, he's never going to get a chance unless he's something special. He's never going to get a chance of playing in the first team. Yet Millwall, he could be playing in front of 20,000 people screaming his name. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and we've seen that with a few academy prospects ourselves. Would you say he's one of the best that's come through in the last probably, I don't know, say 5 to 10 years that you've seen?
One of the best to come through probably since the 80s, to be fair.
Wow.
He is good. He's got potential. Wow. You get a lot of them and then they just fade. And I hope it won't happen with him. But there's something about him. You watch him on Saturday, and we'll have a chat next week after you've watched him in the flesh, and you'll go, that boy's got something about him. when he's on the ball and you can see him, not watching it on telly, when you see him in front, you'll just go, he's got something on him. You know what I mean? Yeah, he's definitely got something on him.
Perfect. Well, good luck, Craig Forsyth, on that one. One player that I want to pick out that before we talk about a little bit of the matchup is Langstaff. Now, that's a player who's well renowned for the goals he scored at Notts County. Everyone was wondering where he was going to go maybe over the last few years. Yourselves went and picked him up and brought him up to the Championship through his time in the National League and League Two. Have you seen the striker that maybe everyone believed he could be or have seen in the lower divisions, or has he kind of maybe not lived up to the expectation? How has he been with you guys? Have you been impressed with him?
I think I like him. I like him a lot, and I think he's got potential. I think what's happening is that there was a fans forum earlier on this season, at the beginning of the season, and Neil Harris turned around when he was asked about Langstaff, and he turned around and made the comment of, we've always done well with non-league players, the strikers. We've had Morrison, we've had obviously Gregory and Neil Harris. And Neil said that he rates Langstaff as probably the most natural, instinctive goal scorer, more so than any of the others being at the club. But I think what they're doing is they're not going to rush him in and put all that weight on him. So they're just edging him in, putting him in a few games. But you know what? A couple of games he's played man of the match. And you can see that he's just frustrated. But I think the lad switched on. I think the lad proper grounded. And he probably doesn't think he's as good as he is. And I think 1 or 2 goals to get that confidence and that buzzer going in him. And then I think, crack on. I could easily see him doing, 10, 15, 20 goals a season without a problem. Listen, the size of the goal is the same in any league. Right?
That's very true.
Yeah, and as long as you've got people sticking balls into him, he will finish those. I mean, the way he missed the other week, he sort of rolled over his feet. But listen, it happens. It happens to the best of people. It's happened to Ronaldo. It's happened to Messi. So, listen, just take it on board, rehydrate, go again. And I think you'll see that at some point, hopefully against you boys, that he will, he'll get his hat trick. So, he's got a record to keep, hasn't he, really?
Well, he has. And I mean, his goal record speaks for itself when he does get confident. I mean, it is a player that does worry me if he does manage to get a couple of goals. Hopefully that doesn't happen against us. He can wait till Christmas if he can. Neil Harris, right? So I'm looking at the last game, as we mentioned earlier, West Brom 0-0. Your setup looks like a 4-2-3-1. Is that the way he does set up in terms of? Obviously, this is one particular app that I'm looking at, but what's the style of play that Neil Harris likes to adopt? Is it different home, away? What we're looking at this weekend?
We don't seem to have. It seems to be he just plays not to lose. Doesn't really play to win. It's more not to lose. A bit like we're not on my show, so a bit like what Rowett does. Rowett plays to not lose, but not to win, or if he can get an on the break and then counter attack and he get a goal last minute, then sweet, that's happy for him. Harris is very similar. He'll want to go and seal it up, but away from home, he just lacks it. But at home, we're a different thought. You've got the den behind you, and he knows how to interact that den and bring that den alive. The trouble is with a den, 2 minutes in, if one of our players goes through one of yours, that den becomes electric. And realistically, you could be playing with 100 men, and if that noise and the players will still end up beating you. So that's the problem, and we've seen it so many times where a player will think they're being smart from the opposition and, get taken out or something happens and it just switches on that stadium and it just feeds. It's like a drug to the players. If you've not been pitch side, I've been pitch side many times with things I do for the club with different things, and it's so loud. It's unbelievable. And also, you've got to understand, the fans are 2 foot away from you.
Yeah, no, you're right. And we've seen what home form could do with us. Our home form this season's been outstanding, away not so good. So, if we're going to see that this weekend with yourselves, then Derby could be in for a tough weekend, and it's going to be a good game. Derby this weekend are going to try and exploit some form of weakness in Mill. What have you seen, obviously, in the games this season that Derby might look at when looking at games this season that Millwall have played that could cause issues for yourselves? Is there something that stands out?
It's not really a weakness. I suppose it's something what happens every game, really. That is the opposition targets Cooper.
Right.
They target Cooper heavily, and he normally ends up going down or ends up getting a foul, giving a foul away or something else. So they normally target Cooper, but other than that, there isn't really a massive weakness. Our keeper's good, a young lad who, if you'd have played us at the beginning of the season, I think we let 7 goals in 2 games. So, but we still scored what did we score? I think we scored 6 or 7 as well. So, it's now I think we're okay. If there is a weakness, depending who's playing, but I would probably say that the way Cooper is and gets sort of attacked to such on set pieces, etc., I'd say probably Cooper could be the liability. But other than that, no, I don't think there's any real weakness. And also, when we take free kicks, if Honeyman's taking a free kick, your keeper might as well go sit in the stand. Do you know what I mean?
What is something that Derby can? From your perspective, are there any players that we've got that worry you? Have you seen anything from Derby this season that go, they play like that?
I don't really. To be honest with you, I don't really look. I'm not an aficionado of other teams. Really, you should other guy, because a couple of our guys do a fantasy EFL show.
Right. Yeah.
Called EFL Fantasy Show. Which is sort of like it's a sort of spin-off as such. It's its own entity, but they know the ins and outs. No doubt they'll probably look at a Derby player or whatnot over one of their shows upcoming. But they know the ins and outs of players. To me, I just football's football. I do a podcast to moan and groan about it, and just go listen. I go football to basically be miserable. That's we go normally leave upset. So it sets your weekend up, doesn't it?
It does. It does. I appreciate that. I mean, before I ask your prediction for the game this weekend, we like to do an away fan guide. I mentioned it just previously before we went live. I mean, are there any good away pubs, away places to park, anything to see around the Den before that Derby fans might be able to get themselves down early, if you know of anywhere?
Unfortunately, over the years now, there's no real pubs around the Den. All the pubs down the Blue are Millwall pubs. So I probably wouldn't suggest there. If you're coming by train, most of the pubs in London Bridge normally are away fans. And, you know, you're isolated to a level. Obviously, I know that those that want it will know where to find it. Those who just want to have a drink before the game, you're probably looking around London Bridge. You'll find a nice, quiet, old-fashioned boozer or plenty along the river. There's a couple in Surrey Quays, I suppose, if you're going down there. If to park, I would suggest probably, depending where you park, I would probably, and British Land probably won't like me for saying this, but I would probably look at, you know, like Surrey Quays or parking, you know, maybe slightly out and coming in, purely because Surrey Quays, I think, gives you 4 hours parking. Yeah. So if you're only coming down for the game, you're not really drinking, you might want something to eat or grab something on the way. That will give you 4 hours parking. It's probably a 10-minute walk to the Den. You can do the back doubles through the estate. It's safe. You're not going to get jumped, unless Millwall watches and everything. But no, you won't get jumped. But the train, London Bridge, you've got a 5-minute train journey from London Bridge, normally on about platform 14 or so. Just double check in case I'm wrong. But that takes you straight into South Bermondsey. You've got a few takeaway shops there if you want it. We've got a Greggs. It was the first Greggs in London to have a security guard.
Right, okay.
But other than that, around the Den, there's nothing really to see, unless you want to do a bit of a Monopoly. Obviously, you've got the Old Kent Road, but
yeah.
Other than that, there ain't a lot, and there's no pubs really round the ground at all. There is a fans area at the Den.
Okay.
So you do have a fans area outside the away end, which is, you know, you've got a food stall, you've got a bar and all of that. And we do proper pints. So we do on the pump. So it's Shepherd Nil. So you've got a good selection of beer, and they don't stop serving you beer at half time normally either. So you can drink all game if you want. Cost you a fortune.
Perfect. Well, Derby fans, safe trip down there. There's a couple of ideal spots that Micky just pointed out there if you are going down. Right, Micky, big question for you.
Drop us a dip. If anyone does want to know anywhere what's safe, just be cautious of some of the estates around there, because there's a lot of cars what get done from our lot. So not from our lot, but our fans get their cars done as well. So just be a bit cautious. Don't leave nothing on show. But yeah, if anyone really wants to know anything, just drop us a DM and we can point you in a safer direction. So yeah, not a problem.
Perfect. Right, Micky, what is your prediction for the game?
I'm Millwall.
Nice. And who's the scorer?
I'm going to go. I'm going to go Duncan Watmore, Langstaff, and Serb. No, actually, I'm going to go SA, Watmore, and either Langstaff or the Serb. So I'm going to give you 4 players, but they're going to score 3. So yeah.
Nice. Well, I'll have to go positive with that. You have to just give me that one. I'll go 2-0 Derby. I'll go Yates, and I'll go Nelson to get another centre half, probably a set piece, because we only score set pieces. That's the only thing we seem to do. But no, appreciate your time, Micky. Really appreciate your time to talk about the game. If any Millwall fans or Derby fans, as you say, want to get in touch with yourself with coming down to the game, where can they find you? Just give yourself a little plug.
That Millwall Pod, or that Millwall Podcast, but obviously because of the letters on Twitter, it's That Millwall Pod. But we've got the same name across all socials, so Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. Yeah, just get in touch, or you can drop us an email at info@thatmillwallpodcast.co.uk if you want to know anything about parking and whatnot. So yeah, not a problem at all.
Perfect. And if you did enjoy, please do leave a like. Please do subscribe if you're watching on YouTube, and we'll see you post this weekend. It's going to be an interesting one. Thanks, Micky.
Millwall winning.